And just like that, guys, we're back. Another Justice Verdicts and Views. How are you guys doing? We are officially 3 weeks into the WNBA season. Hey, I feel like week 3 was a lot smoother than week 2. I'm not going to lie. A little less drama, but drama nonetheless. In my opinion, I'm seeing big wins across the board within the league. There's nothing better than scrolling on TikTok and seeing creators, like popular creators, making WNBA content. Just the excitement surrounding the league, the attention, the new fans, just across the board, there's so much growth happening. Now, let's be honest, there is a little bit of drama happening still, you know what I mean? Across the board, it has been an interesting week, to say the least. But above everything, we have some phenomenal basketball being played. I think that is the most important thing that we address and make sure that we understand that the girls are out there hooping. Every single game is literally coming down to the wire, coming down to overtime. Like every single game, no matter even if it's the last team in the league or the first team in the league, every game is competitive. And I think that just speaks volumes to the product that the WNBA is producing. So let's dive in. So what do we have on this week's League Lowdown? All right. We had a big announcement come through the WNBA this week. Toronto! Welcome to the WNBA. It was announced by Kahleah that Toronto will be joining the WNBA in 2026 as our 14th team. Finally. Listen, guys, I know it has been incremental, little minuscule, little momentums of growth, but guys, we're getting there. I'm going to put a friendly reminder out that this WNBA's goal that by, 2026, that we will be at 16 teams. Slowly but surely we are getting there. Now, Toronto has been in the works for quite some time. I know that it's been on Kathy's radar. They've even done little testers here and there. If you notice that during the preseason, they did a couple games for the past 2 seasons in Toronto, sold both of them out, so they knew that the market was there. And from the announcement and across the board, it just seems like Toronto is ready for a WNBA team, and the WNBA is ready for Toronto. We have a few players who are from the Toronto area. I know Kia Nurse is Canadian. I know Aaliyah Edwards is Canadian. So you can already imagine that a couple of our Canadian players are probably hoping to skim underneath in the expansion draft and hopefully end up on that Toronto team. So again, it's the step in the right direction when it comes to the growth and expansion of the WNBA. It's also kind of cool to note that they just won't be playing games in Toronto. It was announced that they'll also be playing games in Montreal. They'll also be playing games in Vancouver. They really want this WNBA team to be Canada's WNBA team. And you can already feel the excitement and support people have when it comes to bringing a team into Canada. So that's what we have first on our League Lowdown. What else is happening in the league this week? I noticed that we were having some issues with scheduling. Now, I don't know who made the WNBA schedules this season, but we got to go back to the drawing boards because literally the first 3 months, what are we doing? I mean, at first I was a little confused because I just didn't see the rhyme and the reason behind teams playing each other multiple times within like a couple weeks span. Why has the Indiana Fever already played Connecticut twice, but Connecticut hasn't played Las Vegas once? I don't know who made the scheduling and the rhyme and the reason behind the decisions, but it is not, the math ain't mathing for me. And the math ain't mathing for a lot of people because it has been something that has been brought to everyone's attention and questions are being asked. And then there's been a lot of conversation when it comes to scheduling because the Indiana Fever has played a buttload of games already. Like some teams are only on like their 4th game, their 3rd game, and the Indiana Fever are like on game 6, game 7. Now, T, between you and I think the WNBA is trying to exploit Caitlin. they're trying to make some money. Why do you think that the Indiana Fever has played 7 games at this point? Like, y'all say the Caitlin Clark effect, babes, yeah, the Caitlin Clark effect. Like, yeah, they're trying to make money. Come on, guys, like let's keep up. Put your thinking cap on. Why do you think they've put the Indiana Fever against the Connecticut Sun, the New York Liberty, and the Las Vegas Aces already in their season? I'll wait. They're trying to make money. Like, we understand that, yes, the Indiana Fever are selling out arenas. People are coming to see Caitlin. Like, we understand that. So, of course, the WNBA is trying to make money off of her. Now, am I saying this is right? No. But I am saying I understand why. But because of this and the amount of games that the Indiana Fever are playing, I've seen people start having conversation about possibly Caitlin and other people who are playing a lot of minutes, participating in load management, similar to what you see in the NBA. And honestly, I don't believe that that'll work in the WNBA for a couple of reasons. One, the WNBA only has a 40-game season, and because each team is so competitive and so close together, to make playoffs, it may come down to one game. You don't have the luxury to take a game off. You just don't, because babes, that one game is going to matter. And then also, I don't think it works in the Indiana Fever's conversation because Caitlin cares too much about her fans, honestly. Like, she said it time and time again in every single interview about how important her fans are, and she understands that people are paying big money to come see her play. So I just don't believe that she would end up taking a game off to rest. I just don't. Because imagine paying a couple grand to go see Caitlin Clark and she's sitting on the bench, you're going to be mad. So I just don't feel like that personally in her character and as a competitor and things of that nature. She just cares way too much about her fans, honestly, to participate in load management. And then I've also seen people like dumbfounded by the fact that the rookies are playing games already, as in like, this is so much on their body. I can't believe that they're already participating in games. They were just in the NCAA. Babe, this is nothing new. Welcome to the WNBA. This has been the situation for literally year after year after. It is not exclusive to this draft class. Every single player has gone through this. I've seen some people say something along the lines of like, well, they were in the Final Four. Listen, this is not the first team to be in the Final Four. This is not the first team to be drafted into the WNBA after playing in a national championship game. It's just not mutually exclusive. So I think there's just been a lot of conversation where people aren't as empathetic to the fact that the rookies are playing this amount of games and that it's this quick of a turnaround because it's nothing new. And the last thing I have for our league lowdown is that we are 3 weeks in. The girls are still arguing about Caitlin Clark. We are going in circles and we're not getting anywhere in this conversation. And at this point, I don't even know what the solution is. I don't even know what both sides, one side, two sides, I don't know what people are looking for the answer to be. At this point, I'm open to the conversation. What do y'all want to happen, honestly? Because this week we had LeBron James and Charles Barkley come out and say their comments were directed to the WNBA players, as in like, you guys are being mean to Caitlin. You guys need to stop being mean to Caitlin. You need to stop hating on her. Y'all got charter flights because of her. This, that, and the third. And the WNBA players came out and they're like, who's hating? We are so confused. Who's hating? Now, in response, people who are, Caitlin Clark fans, this, that, and the third, have been like, well, hating in the sense of you guys are like playing her really tough, and playing her tough doesn't benefit you guys. If she doesn't succeed, the league fails. These are people's jobs. What are they supposed to do? Well, I'm so confused. What do y'all want them to do? To go out there and let that girl shoot threes? To let her go out there and do whatever she wants at will? Like, these are competitors. Do you not understand if these players do not perform, they lose their jobs? So what y'all saying is I'm supposed to let her get a bucket and now I'm going to be without a job. Like, what sense does that make? And then they're like, well, look at you guys. You're out there double teaming a rookie. Listen, every single WNBA player can acknowledge that Caitlin Clark is a bucket. 1 + 1 = 2. The math is math, and they understand that rhetoric. Of course they're going to guard Caitlin tight. Like, come on now. What kind of game plan would that be? They've seen Caitlin. They've seen her in action. They've seen her come and rattle off 40-point games, 30-point games just like that. If they don't do that, she will produce that. They're like, well, they're 0-5 and you guys are guarding her so close. We're guarding her close and she's still putting up 21 points. Imagine if we just allowed her to go out here and do whatever she wants. 1, they're going to win. And 2, she's going to put up 40. Like, what do you guys want them to do? Every win the WNBA has, there's somebody in the comments talking about, this is because of Caitlin. Listen, okay, this is because of Caitlin. If we say it, will you guys shut up? Like, I don't understand what you want to happen from this. Everyone has already admitted that Caitlin has had an astronomical impact on the game. Like, we've seen the evidence. We've seen the games. We've seen the people in the Indiana Fever, in the Iowa, the jerseys. We've seen her getting mauled for autographs. Like, we understand the notion and the rhetoric. What more do you want the teams to send out a card, have every single team sign it and give it to her, being like, thank you? Do you want them to kiss her feet? Like, I just don't understand what y'all want this end result to be from this conversation? And how long are we going to continue to have this conversation? I'm tired, boss. I'm tired. We've already acknowledged that she's had such a great impact. We've already acknowledged that she's a bucket. Like, what more do you want? and it comes back to the notion, it just feels like you guys are like, well, you guys need to be grateful. Who said they're not grateful? We're flying in a plane. Becky Hammond said it best. She said, I don't care if it's because of Kermit the Frog that we got on these planes. We're on these planes. Thank you. I literally am going to slap fire from somebody. We have to do this conversation for the rest of the season. Somebody's getting slapped because I can't do it. I can't do it because it just feels like we're going nowhere. And with that, guys, that has been our WNBA League Lowdown. Now, let's talk about our rookie review and ruling. Rookie review. Y'all know we love the rookies here, and we got to give our rookies our flowers. So, who we got on our rookie review this week? We are starting off with my girl, Nika Mule from the Seattle Storm. Nika, finally! I don't know who had to go down there to the United States Immigration and talk to somebody, but Nika finally, she got her immigration papers. Now, if you don't know, Nika is from Croatia, and everybody was taking their God-given good time to get that girl her immigration papers. I just don't know. Her work visa just wasn't coming in. I don't know who had to talk to who, but they were dragging their feet to get that approved. Therefore, Nika had not played in any games up until this point, but she made her WNBA debut against the Fever. Now, she didn't play a ton of minutes that game, but when she did get in, she got a standing ovation from the crowd, and I'm just hoping that, again, she can build off of that foundation she's already laid and hopefully expand her role in her minutes. When she did finally get her visa approved, my girl stepped out in a visa t-shirt on a shirt that said approved. Fun fact that she did end up changing her number. In college, she was number 10. And she was obviously unable to take number 10 to Seattle because 10 is retired by Sue Bird. So she actually did reach out to Sue, and Sue gave her some advice and actually picked her new number, which is 1. Next on our rookie review, let's talk a little bit about Caitlin's numbers, because I think there's a misconception going around that I really want to address because it's grinding my gears a little bit. So I saw this tweet go out, and basically somebody asked along the lines of, like, they listed Caitlin's stats and they go, are these good for a rookie, a player in general? There's a couple of different variables that play into the conversation when it comes to Caitlin's numbers. So flat out, yes, those are good numbers right now. But I think that unfortunately, Caitlin isn't getting judged off of the lens of a rookie. Everyone can't decipher and eliminate Caitlin at Iowa from Caitlin at Indiana. Everyone is keep comparing her to what she was doing at Iowa, and they aren't allowing her to develop into this new player and this new role and this new experience in the WNBA. So therefore, although she is putting up great numbers, she's damn near having a triple-double, literally. She's flirting with a triple-double. If you look at the recent her games, like, it's literally 20 points, 7 assists, 8 rebounds. Like, she's flirting with a triple-double almost every game. You know, the lens that we judge Angel and Cam and Rickea and Nika and everybody else that are rookies in terms of that ability for them to make mistakes, that ability for them to miss shots, that ability to understand that they aren't the same player that they were in college and that, you know, it's going to look a little bit different. We don't give Caitlin that same luxury and that same grace, unfortunately, and it shows. Now, again, there's area always for improvement overall in terms of efficiency, overall in terms of turnovers and things of that nature. But as a whole, yeah, she has the best numbers right now as a rookie. I think Caitlin even knows that, like, yo, I'm just scratching the surface. Like, there is obviously a learning curve. There is obviously some area for growth. Like, I think she acknowledges that. I think everybody acknowledges that. But if I'm Caitlin, I'm taking the Coach Prime effect. I am taking the Coach Prime effect. And I'm telling you guys, you better get me right now.
We need. One thing that I could say honestly and candidly, you better get me right now. This is the worst we're going to be. You better get me right now.
Right now, I'm putting up 20 points, a damn near triple-double, and it's not even my best basketball. You better get me right now, because when I do figure out this whole WNBA thing, when I do figure out how to adjust my game correctly, when I do figure out how to get my shot off with a little bit of pressure and physicality, oh yeah, it's game over. So ultimately, this, when it comes to her stat lines and her numbers, I just feel like, again, we have to give her grace, give the Indiana Fever grace, allow them to go into the role, but also understand that you guys better get them right now. And I truly believe that. Y'all better get them right now, because once they figure this whole thing out, once she figures out this whole WNBA thing, yeah, we going to be having a different conversation. I truly believe that. But for my rookie ruling, who was the rookie that stuck out to me and I think had the best week? Rickea Jackson with the Los Angeles Sparks. Rickea! Listen. Somebody go tell Kurt Miller that she need to be starting. I believe that with my whole chest. And honestly, if you had the pleasure of watching the Los Angeles Sparks against the Indiana Fever, Rickea was out there hooping. She really was. In terms of efficiency, in terms of, she put up 16 points. She only played like 21 minutes. Like her production on the offensive end, like she's hard to guard. Now, we already knew that Rickea was a bucket though. When she was at Tennessee, we said Rickea Jackson is probably the most pro-ready player in the draft, and I stand 10 toes. Yeah, with the number 4 pick, it makes sense. Kurt has Rickea coming off the bench right now, but honestly, I don't know how long he's going to be able to do that because the production is there, and she shows it time and time again that she can hang and produce and ultimately make an impact. I think as time continues, as the season progresses, as she continues to get her legs under her, to get her confidence, she's definitely going to be in a conversation when it comes to overall those numbers. That 16, I think we give her an extra 10 minutes, you're going to see that 16 points turn into more to like a 30 point, a high 22 point game, which I think she has the potential and definitely the capability to do. Definitely tune into Los Angeles Sparks too, because her and Cam, that's a dynamic duo. Definitely 2 rookies who are having one of the smoothest transitions into the WNBA in terms of impact, in terms of finding their feet under them quickly, and just being able to play a large role within their organization. So let's talk about it, guys. What players this week were out there doing justice on the court? Start off, Kahleah Copper with the Phoenix Mercury. Listen, if you saw the Phoenix Mercury versus the Las Vegas Aces game, there was no answer. They had no answer for Ka. I'm sitting there, my good sis is hitting shots over people, under people, full transition. I'm sitting there in awe. I'm flabbergasted myself. How can you defend this? She is in her bag right now. The Phoenix Mercury, I need to give a formal apology because I wasn't expecting it. Y'all put me on notice. And a lot of this stems from Kahleah and the production that she's having on the court. Back with Chicago, she was only averaging 18 points. I think it was like 18.7. Now with Phoenix, she's at what? With 31. She's averaging like 31 points a game. Like, she is drastically taking a jump from last season. And it wasn't as if she wasn't already a bucket when she was playing in Chicago. But just her elevation of her game, she is taking it to a whole new level this season. If this is just a glimpse of what we have to expect this season, y'all gonna have to start putting her in some MVP conversations. Y'all gonna have to start putting her in some conversations with some first teams, because if the Phoenix Mercury continues to roll, if they continue to take down the top teams at the hands of Kahleah Copper, we gonna have to start having a different conversation, because KFC was out there hooping, and we had no answers for her. She's had consecutive 38 and 37 games. That is crazy. She's putting up crazy numbers right now. And from an offensive end, nobody recently had an answer for her. So I just got to give Kahleah her flowers. I got to give Phoenix Mercury their flowers right now, because they're putting people on notice, and it starts with Kahleah, honestly. She right now is operating as the head of that snake over there in the desert. And then the other player that I felt like has just been the catalyst for their team, and maybe, again, doesn't have the highest numbers, isn't, the star player, but definitely without this player, I don't think that their team is getting the dub. Yeah, it comes from the Indiana Fever and Temi Fegbenle. If you have watched the Indiana Fever, which again, a lot of us have, you have noticed that Temi, she is out there doing the intangibles from a hustle standpoint. There's a plethora of plays I can replay in the back of my head where loose balls, you know what I mean? She's doing the extra mile to go and get it. Rebounds, running the floor. You're starting to see her and Caitlin's chemistry develop as well. I feel like we're going to get a conversation where she can't come off the bench. I feel like she's vying for a starting spot right now and has put up a phenomenal argument right now. Comes in not only with some experience, but also rebounding standpoint, defensive standpoint. She can shoot the three as well and stretch the defense. There's so many positive things that she brings to this organization, this Indiana team. I'm always rooting for the underdog. I'm always rooting for the person that we didn't even know if they were going to be on roster, if they were going to end up making the team. It ended up coming in and having a greater impact than we even expected. So I definitely have to give her flowers, give her big shout outs, and acknowledge that the impact and the role that she is playing on the Indiana Fever team has been tremendous. So what does our weekly recap and verdict of the week look like? Honestly, guys, if you have taken anything from week 3 of the WNBA, it's that every team is so close together. The competition is just neck and neck. It's an any given Sunday situation. Like literally, the Las Vegas Aces end up taking an L to the Phoenix Mercury. These standings are going to be so interchangeable as the weeks go on because everybody is just so close in competition. You literally can't take one game off. Everything is going down to the wire. Some of the games that stuck out to me last week that were really fun to watch, that Seattle game, Jewel Lloyd was in rare form. Man, they call her the gold mama for a reason. Now, if you saw her in that game against Indiana, you understand that she's a bucket. And her in the combination with Nneka, yeah, that's a dynamic duo you don't want to deal with. And then we had go down to the wire in overtime. What was that? The Minnesota Lynx and the Connecticut Sun. That was a phenomenal game as well. Even the Las Vegas Aces, where I said at the beginning that like they're head and head above everybody. No, people are giving them run for their money. So like we are talking about the best basketball being played right now. So this is kind of what our standings look like after week 3. And as you can see, top of the league is the Connecticut Sun right now. The Connecticut Sun is the sole undefeated team in the WNBA. Everybody else is taking an L. The Chicago Sky had a big week. They end up getting a big win against the Liberty. And y'all know I'm biased. I'm a little biased because I'm rocking with Chicago. I really am. I love their energy. I love their mentality. That's my type of basketball. Those are my type of players. I do thoroughly enjoy the Chicago Sky and seeing them get their win, seeing them the product they're putting on the floor. Hey, y'all put them at number 12. 12 where? I tried to tell y'all. I tried to tell you there was no way that the Chicago Sky was going to be at the bottom of the league, as it wasn't any way. Right now, they're flirting right there in the middle. But listen, and they're not even in full form right now. They're still missing Camilla. She comes back June 1st. They're still missing Izzy. And Diamond didn't play the last couple of games. And I'm telling you, when they put all those pieces together, y'all, hey, they're going to definitely continue to put some people on notice. But with all that being said, there can only be one verdict of the week. So what team do I believe stood out the most this week? The Phoenix Mercury. Now, again, I already touched on them a little bit when I gave my shout out to Ka, but the Phoenix Mercury, I just feel like cannot be ignored in this conversation or this week because I don't think anybody expected them to be as good as they are right now. It feels like we have rejuvenated Diana Taurasi. And Diana Taurasi I hope she kept some receipts. Everybody calling her grandma. Everybody telling her she needs to retire. Right now, she has found some life. My good sis is lighting it up from the 3-point line. Hey, Diana, I'm sorry. I might have agreed with a couple people when they said you need to retire. But this is a new Taurasi this season, and she ain't going out with that a bang. I just feel like the Phoenix Mercury are just a new team. You can just see that the life that Beck, Cloud, and Ka have brought to the Phoenix Mercury has just rejuvenated this organization. And I think the new coach has played a impact on this one well. They're playing well together. They're gelling well together. And again, they're putting teams on notice. I'm eager to see if they're able to continue this momentum as weeks continue. And here's the scary part about the Phoenix Mercury. They're doing all this the last couple of games without Brittany Griner. So I can only imagine what they're going to be like with everybody healthy. I saw a video, Brittany Griner was out of the boot, getting some shots up. So it's only in due time. But if they're able to do this without Brittany, I can just only imagine the impact of having her back on the court is going to make in their overall production. So yeah, I had to give Phoenix their flowers because right now they're playing some phenomenal basketball and having some outstanding performances from a plethora of players on their team. I said it in my Will They Make roster video that this was not going to be no rollover team, that they were going to be scrappy, that they were going to be competitive, and that they definitely were going to put teams on notice. And they have done that every step of the way in these last 3 weeks. So that is why the Phoenix Mercury is my verdict of the week. And just like that, guys, that's a wrap on Justice's Verdicts and Views. Thank you for tuning in for another week. I have listened to you guys. We are officially on YouTube. You can catch this full video on my YouTube channel. Now, on TikTok, we'll post clips here and there. But if you want to see the mecca and the double whammy and the big kahunas of this video of every week as we dive into everything going on in the WNBA and we dive into the players, the games, and everything in between, you need to subscribe to my YouTube channel. You need to check out our weekly videos because we do just that. And then on TikTok, if you want to see shorter videos where we talk about, little things happening within the week that cannot wait till the recap, you need to follow me on TikTok. That's just little housekeeping items I want to throw out. And guys, we are rocking and rolling. Now, it's hard for me right now to say who I believe is going to win the WNBA final. Like, we have so much more basketball to be played. We have so much more conversations to have. And God knows with the WNBA what is going to happen this week. So I encourage you to tune in next week as we dive into week 4. But until then, it's just us growing the game.